All right, we are on our way. Thank you guys for joining us. Another good group this week. So this week is our last week before we start Personal Creed Document. So next week we start Personal Creed Document Lesson 4. This week we have a couple of extra assignments. It might feel like a little busy work. So let me just talk a little bit about these assignments. The first one is we have a case study. And the case study has a group assignment. And the case study is something that you're going to read through, and you need to invite at least one other person to complete the case study work with you. I believe that in the syllabus that it says it should take like 50 minutes to an hour. I don't want you guys to feel guilty if it takes less than that. So what I'm saying is if you've gone through the case study, you're answering the questions, and you're done in half an hour, 20 minutes, that's perfectly fine. Don't just do extra work to fill in a crazy time barrier. The other assignment this week is you're going to fill out a schedule. You're going to fill out your schedule, kind of what you're doing. This is simply a self-reflection activity. So you can look at it and say, am I getting enough sleep? Am I dedicating enough time for work and homework and other times? I'm not going to go in and judge your schedule. Just complete the assignment. I'm going to give everybody credit for it who's submitted the assignment. I'm not going to go in and pick that out. So I'm hearing from two people, Brianna and Tanner, that they're not hearing me. So can someone else confirm my voice is coming through? It looks like most people are, but a couple aren't. Okay, I'm okay? Okay, good. All right, thank you. So hopefully they're seeing that on chat. They might want to reset their mic or something. This week we're talking about the law of the clock, and we have two laws and one art. The law of the clock and the law of opportunity. Simply stated, the law of the clock is you can't speed up time, you can't slow it down. Time is going to move at its standard pace. 24 hours a day, 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 365 days a year. It's just going to move at its pace. You can't speed it up. You can't slow it down. You can manage it a little bit. And then the second law is the law of opportunity. And the law of opportunity says you are always going to have more things to do, more opportunities to do things than you have time to do them. So you're going to run into some challenges. Time moves, more things to do than you have time to do. And then we have the art of discretion. The art of discretion is very simple. You have to make some decisions. You have to make some choices about how you're going to manage your time. And so what I want to talk about today, I'm going to share with you a little story, and I'd love your feedback on how this may or may not apply to your life. But before we do that, I'd love to have you guys type into the chat or unmute your mic and visit with me. What are some of your biggest distractions? What are the things that distract you from stuff? Okay, Ciara is Instagram, social media. We're on that theme right there. Keep them coming. Or talk to me, roommates, okay? I don't have that problem. I have my wife. Social media, Netflix, okay? Friends, fear of missing out, FOMO, family, Disney Plus. I have Disney Plus, roommates, books, cooking. Rachel, that's a good distraction. Food and friends, okay. Well, Eric and I can relate to this a little bit because we're a little bit older. That's okay. That's a good thing. When I was a student at Rick's College, I did not have nearly the same number of distractions that you have. And we still had distractions. They were just different. We did not have email, cell phones, Instagram, Facebook, Netflix, cable TV had back then about 12 channels. This is going to date me. ESPN is brand new, was brand new when I was at school. And so we didn't have the distractions that we have. So The time management skills we're going to talk about today, you have to be even better at because you have so many things. My cell phone is right here. I just got a text. I want to answer it right now, but I'm going to wait. But I'm going to answer it right now. No, I'm not. I'm going to wait. Get out of here. That's the challenge, right? We just have so many distractions. So when I was a student at Rick's College, I came one semester before my mission. I was not a very good high school student. In fact, I barely graduated. I had a 2.2 GPA. I didn't do well on the ACT. I had only one place I could go to school back then, and that was Rick's College. When I got to Rick's, my grades at Rick's were about like they were in high school. I got a C minus. I got an A in missionary prep. I think I got a C in health. I just wasn't a good student. So I went on my mission to the Philippines, and I served there for 2 years. And as I was getting ready to come home, my mission president, my last interview, said, Elder Davis, what are your plans? I said, I'm going to go back to Rick's College. And he said to me, would you like to get straight A's? Now, I'm hoping he didn't guess my poor GPA just from me, but I responded right away, yes, I would like to get straight A's. And he said, I'm going to give you a simple plan that if you follow this plan, I promise you, you will get straight A's. And he said, it's this. I'm going to show you a little graphic here. He said, I think when you get to BYU, Idaho, back then, Rick's College, I want you to make sure you start your day at 8 a.m. And I want you to take your classes in the morning, and I want you to spend time and set time aside to do homework in the afternoon, but I want you to quit at 5. Take your books home, your backpack, whatever you're carrying your books in, take them home. I remember saying them, put them behind the door, and don't touch them again until the next day at 8. He says, if you'll do that every day, I will promise you 2 things. You'll never cram for a test, and you'll get straight A's. So what do you guys think? What does that sound like? I actually saw this in the discussion board this week already. What does that sound like? It's on the tip of your tongue. I can see it. Somebody tell me. Thank you, Emily. It sounds like a job. Okay, work. Thank you. On a work day from Caitlin and from Jordan. Yes. Now, and Samuel says, it looks like your schedule. That's good. So the problem with college is, and I've got kids, I have 5 children. I've got 1 in junior high. I've got 1 in middle school. I've had 3 that have gone on to graduate, 2 from college, 1's currently in college. The problem with college is you set your schedule. You can take your first class at 11 and sleep in at 10. You can take your first class at lunchtime at noon and sleep until 11. Stay up and do whatever you need to do. Okay, so tell me, those of you who are looking at this, why would this work or why wouldn't it work for you? Oops, I skimmed ahead.
Well, for me personally, I find that I get distracted. So I do homework for 20 minutes and then I just can't I can't focus anymore on it. So I have to do something else to kind of break it up. So this would just be too much of a chunks of things, I guess.
Yeah, I learned that lesson too. Yeah, I might have a little ADHD, so that was hard for me. So that's a perfect segue. Thank you for that. So I'm going to just look at this. Brittany says, my kid won't let me do homework no matter the time. That's a challenge. I didn't have a kid yet. I was brand new up my mission. Well, I learned, just like you said, I'm not great in 3-hour chunks. I'm good for about 40-minute sprints. And then I need to take a break, maybe 45 minutes. So my second semester, by the way, I'll tell you, my first semester, I got all A's. So it worked. I got A's in all my classes for the first time in my life. And it was a great thing. It gave me some confidence. But my second semester, I broke it up. I did class, homework, class, lunch, homework, class, homework. So that was good. All right. Anybody else want to chime in on the beauty of this or the challenges of this? Samuel says, it's routine. You can get used to it, and then it gets easier. Derek says a nice thing would be how you can maximize productivity, spend less time going back and forth. Okay, that's a great point. Okay, any other thoughts?
It goes back to part of our reading assignment. It becomes the art of discretion.
The art of discretion, exactly. Right, you have a choice every minute of every day, right? Okay, Dylan, you guys are like perfect. Like you're like tuning me up. Dylan says one problem is some people have to work in the afternoon or during the day. And then Whitney says, I have to break things up with social interaction. The only way the original schedule works for me is if I'm doing homework with other people or friends simply in the room with me. So great point. Well, for me, this was semester 1 right here, semester 1. I got straight A's. This was semester 2. Semester 2 was a little bit different for me because it was the semester, very first day of school, that I met my wife. So this was my dating semester. And my wife didn't keep the same schedule. And then I also needed to start earning some money. And so I needed to do this. Hopefully it says my internet connection is stable. Hopefully I don't lose you. I needed to carve in a little time for work. So I was still committed to doing this. And so I started even earlier. I on purpose took it back at Rick's College. The first classes could be at 7 a.m. So I took a 7 a.m. class. I worked for 3 hours in the day. I took a shorter lunch, and I did homework until about 6 o'clock. So that worked for me, okay? And it worked. And I did this all through college. And almost every semester, I got nearly straight A's. I had a couple classes. I took a physics class and got a C. I worked as hard for that C as any A I've ever gotten. Just not my skill set. So any other comments before we talk about how this applies to this week's lesson? All right, seeing none, this is why this works, okay? Why this works, this is the law of discretion, the art of discretion. The art of discretion is understanding the difference between things that are vital and things that are urgent. Homework that is due a week from now is vital. If you look at this class, you have a case study due Friday, a class schedule due Friday, your threaded discussion Wednesday and Friday, and you have your class meeting report lesson evaluation. Due Saturday. All of those things right now are vital. Well, every week I'm going to grade people who hand it in at 11 o'clock on Friday and it's due at midnight. If you're waiting until Friday night at 11, it's now urgent. To get full credit, you have this little bitty time to get it in. A term paper that's due 3 weeks from now is vital. The night before it's due becomes urgent. The blessing that I had from this exercise for me in my own life was I didn't have urgent things. And I was committed to working from 8 to 5 or 7 to 6, whatever my schedule was, because if I was done with all of the homework that's kind of due at 3 o'clock, I still worked for a couple of hours and said, okay, what's ahead? What's a week out? What's 2 weeks out? And I started getting a jump start on those things. It's the very simple principle of delaying gratification. And the thing that I love most about it, other than really having good grades and having confidence that I could get good grades, here's the rewards. I got better grades. I had guilt-free fun. Evenings at college, there's lots to do. And now your evenings can be with friends, with roommates, intramurals, going to this activity, parties. It could be just sitting down and watching a movie. Well, I could sit down and watch a movie or go to an intramural game and know that all my work was done. I didn't have to feel guilty about, oh, when I get back to home, I'm going to have to do this stupid assignment. And habits translate to success. Moving ahead, this is the challenges. We have a tendency, or we have these habits that are hard to break. You guys have a bazillion distractions. I'm addicted to a couple of these. I hate to say it, but I can get on a show that is a series, and it's like I'm committed. I'm just going to watch one 43-minute Netflix show when I work out, and then I'm not going to wait until they leave you hanging, and you go home and you say, I'm just cheating. I'm going to watch. We have a lot of distractions, the natural tendencies to procrastinate, and because we procrastinate, sometimes we don't move until that monkey on our back is screaming and beating us over the head, said, it's due, you got to do it now, and then we do it. Well, when you're cramming, this is a law of the harvest again, speed growing, you're not going to do as great a work. You're not going to do as good a work. So, a quote that I sent out earlier in my announcement, if we take care of the minutes, the years will take care of themselves. So I'm going to give one last little piece of advice, but before I do that, anybody have any comments or questions about this or about this week's assignments? All right. My last piece of advice. We are creatures of habit, and you will do better with this time frame that you have to study if you'll do these three things. They're super simple. Number one, and every semester might be different. It's the power, the value of doing this time management exercise, your schedule. And because we're creatures of habit, every semester is going to be a little different schedule. But pretty soon you're going to get into this mode of, this is when I study. Same time, whatever it is. For some of you, it might be better in the evening, but same time. Same place. I would find places in the library, both at the three colleges I went to, Ricks College, BYU, Idaho, Utah State, Idaho State. I would find places that I could be all alone. I'm not likely going to bump into people. There's something boring in front of me, like a stack of books. And I would get in that place every time. This is where I'm going to study. So I study place. Your mind just says, time to study. And study only. This is a bad mistake a lot of people make. Don't study on your bed where you sleep. Don't study at the kitchen table where you eat. Don't study at the couch in front of the TV where you watch stuff. So same place, same time, same place, study only. Okay, just a little words of advice. It helped me. Okay, any questions that any of you might have about this week? Again, next week we will. So Brittany asked a really good question. What if you can't study anywhere other than your kitchen table? And that's likely because that's the only place available. Help me on that one, Brittany. Small house, okay. I think that if it's the best and like really the most convenient place for you to study, just eliminate distractions. Move the phone away. Don't have the computer in front of you. Don't have any food that you can. And again, yeah, it's these aren't like cardinal rules. These are just advice. But yeah. Okay. Any other comments? Okay, so Samuel's asking the question, the time management discussion due today said that mentions groups that we made earlier. What are those about? Okay, I'm going to have to go look at the syllabus because there shouldn't be anything due today. Can someone help me with that? Okay, let me answer while you're thinking of that, the answer from Emily. The group does not have to be somebody within the class. So let me just do something really quickly. If I have the capacity to do this, I think I can. I'm going to stop this share. I'm going to kill PowerPoint. I'm going to go here, new share. Let me do this really quickly. Home. Let me actually get to the class. Sign in. All right, so I'm going to go to Canvas. All right, we're going to get to the course. Okay, so let's do a new share really quickly. So I'm now going to share my desktop. Okay, are you guys, this helped me out here. Are you guys seeing the course? Can someone help me with that? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Jordan. All right. So we're going into personal achievement. And we're going to go to this week's modules. Oops. Again. Oh, that's grades. You don't want some of the grades. Almost everybody's got an A, so we're good there. Personal achievement, modules. All right. So we are in week 3. So here in week 3, we have case study 1. Here's the case study, okay? And then the insight sharing is the report. So if we go into this insight sharing, this is where you're going to find somebody, meet together with 1 or 2 other people, and it says make sure you have at least 50 minutes. Ignore that. You can take that much time if you want, but if it's less than that, don't worry about that. And then you're going to just answer the questions, okay? And then you'll submit it here. Okay, does that make sense? Now, the other question I have, I'm confused about, someone help me, and we'll do this quickly. Where was the time management thing that said it was due today? The time management discussion due today. So here's the discussion. You should post your first post by Wednesday, that's tomorrow, and then comment on 2 other people's posts by Friday. So it's not actually due today. It's just kind of an encouragement to make sure you do your first post Wednesday. Everybody's now in groups of 5, so that'll just make it easier for you to get the rest of the work done by Friday. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Oh, sorry, I'm ignoring the chat. So the group people do not have to be in this class. No, they do not. And can your partner be your spouse? Yes. It can be a spouse, sibling, roommate, parent, someone in the class if you want to reach out to somebody in the class. And it only has to be 1 other person. You can get 3 or 4 people together, roommates, for example. It only has to be 1 other person. So let's wrap this up succinctly. The group's assignment is the insight sharing after the case study. Number 2, it doesn't have to be 50 minutes. Number 3, it can be anybody of your choosing, and it can 1 other person sufficient. So obviously, I would pick the easiest person you can snag. It can be a phone call with a mom or dad, a brother or sister. It can be face-to-face, but yes. And just as a kind of a preview for things coming up, only about half of the weeks will have a case study with a group assignment. The other case studies, there's a little quiz. So, all right. Sorry for that phone call. Let's go ahead and conclude. I'll stay on if anybody wants to chat with me to answer any questions. If not, but we'll stop the recording for the sake of all of you who have to watch the recording. Thank you, and I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next week.